Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And I hope everybody's ready for the next few weeks because it's pretty stacked in terms of game releases. Tomorrow, MLB The Show 21 releases, and then Yakuza Judgment as well as Nier Replicant comes out on the 23rd. Then on the 30th, you have new Pokemon Snap and Returnal, and then only a week after that, we have Resident Evil Village. Apparently March and April is the new holiday period with all these exciting games incoming, and as always, I will be here with you every step of the way. I'm definitely looking forward to all these games, but we do have a lot of news to go over today. Xbox Game Pass is expanding yet again to reach more devices, as well as a new leak popped up that gives us a glimpse as to what Xbox and their partners are working on. Also, we finally got some good news about PlayStation Legacy games. It sounds like PlayStation is listening after all. I'm really thrilled to talk about that, so I'm going to cover all that today, plus more. First though, let's get started with that Nier Replicant Remaster. I'm actually really excited to play that Nier Replicant Remaster later this week. Nier Automata was simply amazing. It's actually one of my personal favorite games that released last generation, and it was so successful that Square Enix decided to go back to the original Nier to remaster it for current consoles, and fix up some of the problems that the original had. The original did apparently have some issues on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and thus didn't review well. Luckily though, Square Enix gave Yoko Taro another chance with the Nier franchise, and well, the rest is history. Fans absolutely love it, and it became a big success story. The thing is, even though the original Nier Replicant wasn't nearly as successful as Automata and had its problems, if you listen to the Nier community, a lot do believe the original had a better overall story. Now, I think Automata had an amazing story, but yeah, if they get the original's gameplay fixed up, we could be looking at yet another amazing release. Well, the good news is that Square Enix and Toy Logic is putting a lot of effort into this remaster. Visually, it looks much better, of course, but they also revealed a bunch of new content today. This includes 15 Nightmares Dungeon DLC, which includes Father Nier. Fans of the original will really enjoy playing as the dad here instead of the brother that was only in the Japanese version for the PS3, so that's pretty cool. In this remaster, you'll also get Kabuki and Samurai costumes, 4 Yorha costumes, and weapons from Automata, which includes their voice actors and actresses, as well as a new episode Mermaid. And oh, by the way, all of this is completely free. Yeah, the remaster is looking really good, so you might want to check it out when it releases on April 23rd. Next up, let's talk about IO Interactive, the studio behind Hitman 3. Hitman 3, of course, released back in January, and check this out. Hitman 3 sold 300% better than Hitman 2's launch, and recouped development costs within its first week on the market. That is pretty incredible, and it's great to hear. Hitman 3 is debatably the best stealth espionage game that's ever released, and I'm sure that's a part of why it's been selling so well. But IO Interactive attributes a large part of its success to their decision to release in January rather than the holiday period. Hitman 2 instead released in November, which, as we all know, is a very busy time for big game releases. Red Dead Redemption 2 was close to Hitman 2's launch, and I'm positive that would negatively impact a game like Hitman 2. So I think this is actually important for developers to understand. I know that holiday period is an attractive time to release your game, but if there's already a bunch of big games out around that same time, it might be best to just delay your game to a less crowded window. Gamers can't really play all these games at once, so keep that in mind. However, Hitman 3 being such a big success has paid dividends to the team. They just announced that they're opening a third studio that will help out on all ongoing projects and a new unannounced IP. Now, we know they're working on a new 007 game, which is very exciting on its own, and development on Hitman 3 will still be ongoing as they work on DLC. However, they also have a new unannounced IP in development, and this third studio could really help out on that as well. Either way, big congrats to IO Interactive. They definitely deserve the success that they've been getting. They make great games, so I'm excited to see what they bring us next. Moving on, I got some good news for fans of legacy games. A few weeks ago, PlayStation announced that they were going to shut down their PS3, PSP, and Vita store later this year. And really since that point, there has been a wave of negative news come out for the PlayStation brand. It's not been pretty over the last few weeks for PlayStation, But today, I'm happy to say that PlayStation has reversed their decision to shut down the Vita and PS3 store. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan noted that they clearly made the wrong decision here. Unfortunately, the PSP is still a victim with it closing on July 2nd, but the PS3 and Vita will continue to live on. Let's take a look at what Jim Ryan had to say though. When we initially came to the decision to end purchasing support for the PS3 and PS Vita, it was born out of a number of factors, including commerce support challenges for older devices and the ability for us to focus more on our resources on newer devices where a majority of our gamers are playing on. We see now that many of you are incredibly passionate about being able to continue purchasing classic games on PS3 and PS Vita for the foreseeable future, so I'm glad we were able to find a solution to continue operations. So yes, this is amazing news, and this is why the community voicing their criticism is so important. In the last few weeks, I've seen a lot of quote-unquote hardcore fans defend PlayStation for this decision, and felt like this criticism was unjust. But thankfully, the outcry was a lot louder. When fans criticize something, it doesn't necessarily mean that they hate that brand. Not everything revolves around console wars, and you don't just need to praise absolutely everything a big corporation does. Sometimes you do need to voice your concern, and that's what happened here. A lot of the times when you see criticism like this, it's actually genuine concern over a product that somebody really cares about. I, for one, am a huge Vita fan, so I was very upset about their original decision. And in this particular situation, fans cared a lot about what was happening, and that's exactly why the community has been in such an uproar over these stores closing. Really, the same thing happened with Xbox and the launch for the Xbox One. Well, Xbox learned from those mistakes, and now I don't think that there's ever been a time when Xbox had a brighter future. A part of that was because of the criticism, and they've improved dramatically since Phil Spencer took over and went into a new direction. Now we're seeing the community voice their concerns with PlayStation, and they're already learning from that, as we can see here with them making a complete 180 on their initial decision of closing these legacy stores down. However, I will say this, I would still try to finish your PS3 and Vita library over the next couple years, as really, who knows how long they will be around. We just don't know, but I'm sure next time that they do approach this subject, they will be a little bit more hesitant on shutting down legacy stores, and that's all thanks to the great community voicing their opinions and getting PlayStation to listen. Kudos to PlayStation and Jim Ryan, however, though, for admitting their mistakes and, better yet, fixing it. While we're on the topic of PlayStation, though, there has been some concern about the longevity of PlayStation devices here recently. A big part of that is the decision to close down the Vita and PS3 store, but since then it was discovered that if your CMOS battery dies in your PlayStation 4, which will inevitably happen, you will then lose access to play your games both physically and digitally until you reconnect to the PlayStation servers. You do have to validate your PS4 before being able to play your games, and the concern is that these servers will no longer be around in the future to do that. Now, it's not an immediate concern, but it's something to keep in mind. Well, unfortunately, it does look like the PS5 has a similar problem. It doesn't seem quite as problematic, but Does It Play over on Twitter tested out the PS5 and found out that if the CMOS battery dies or is replaced, the PlayStation 5 will lose access to its digital library until it reconnects to the internet. That's not exactly a great sign for the PS5 Digital Edition, which is the one I own. Unfortunately, I still have not been able to get a physical edition, as they're always sold out. Interestingly enough though, PS4 physical games seem to work here, and some but not all PS5 physical games work. I'm not sure why some don't, but that's what we currently know. Again, this isn't an immediate problem, and maybe Sony fixes this in the future. Hopefully that's the case. If fans make enough noise as we saw today, they might push out a firmware update to fix this problem in the future. And really, the Xbox Series has a problem of its own as well. It was pointed out that the first time it's set up, it requires online connectivity. This could make repairing your console a problem in the future, as well as having new users. Now again, maybe this gets patched out in a future update, but we'll see how all this plays out. Let's talk about Xbox though, as they have once again expanded Xbox Game Pass. We've been waiting for this update for a while, but xCloud will now be coming to Apple phones, iPads, and Windows 10 PCs. Now, the way they're making this possible is actually pretty interesting. This service will be accessed through web browsers, which allows them to get around Apple's strict storefront. Previously, Xbox Game Pass was denied access to Apple devices, or Apple Storefront to be more specific. Well, Xbox now has a workaround, which is beneficial for Windows 10 PCs as well. You will be able to access xCloud by using Edge, Chrome, or Safari browsers. Beta invites for this service will start to go out tomorrow for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members. Here, Microsoft will see how it works, and as they iron out the kinks, they will start to roll it out to more customers. This does expand Xbox Game Pass's reach pretty dramatically though. No, it's not a way to replace traditional consoles per se, and well, it's not meant to be. But what it does do is it expands Xbox reach, as well as give players a new way to play their favorite games. Technically, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars for a console anymore. You can just boot up your phone or PC and play traditional AAA style games. Not just some shallow mobile games, but you can play the next Halo game on your phone. Now, how cool is that? Obviously though, if you do that, the best way to do that is by connecting a controller, though some games do offer touch controls. They have been adding to their touch control catalog here recently, but even then, I do recommend investing in a controller to get the best overall experience. Now, we do have one other quick Xbox topic to go over. We don't have much information on this just yet, but there has been a lot of speculation on what Xbox Game Studios Publishing is working on. Now, this is the Xbox studio that partners up with independent developers to work on a first-party game. Games like Ori, ReCore, and Quantum Break all came from Xbox Game Studios Publishing. Well, Jez and Klobrille, which are both well-respected Xbox insiders, have been teasing that they are working on some exciting projects, some of which we might see soon. Now, considering E3 is right around the corner, it's very possible that we might hear about at least one of those games there, and we might have gotten a small glimpse as to what to expect. According to Miles Dompier of Windows Central, they know of 4 games that Xbox Game Studios Publishing is working on. He didn't go into great detail about these games, but he did say that none of these games are the rumored Hideo Kojima project. That is something completely separate if it does end up happening. What he did say though is that 3 of these games are new IP, and one of them is a spin-off of a current franchise. I'd personally love to know which franchise, but I guess we'll see. As a big fan of Rare, I'd be interested to see if it's a Rare-related game. 2 of these games, though, are apparently very big. Now, that's all kind of vague and everything, but he does give more details about one of them, which is codenamed Cyclone. This Cyclone project is apparently being made by a very cool team which typically works on single-player games. There is some speculation that it's Avalanche's next game, which has worked on Rage 2 and Just Cause 4. That's just speculation, of course, but Cyclone is supposedly a big, unique multiplayer experience. I'm not sure exactly what that means yet, but he does say it's not a looter shooter or an MMO. It's kind of its own thing, and most importantly, he expects it to be revealed soon. And that right there is what I'm interested in. Whatever Cyclone is, we might hear about it as early as E3, which is less than 2 months away. So we won't have to wait too long to hear about this project, hopefully, and I'm really curious about Cyclone being its own unique thing in the multiplayer space. If you have any guesses as to what that means, let me know in the comments below. Before I go though, let's take a look at the poll of the day. With recent news of PlayStation rejecting a sequel to Days Gone, I asked you all if you think PlayStation should reconsider that decision, and 57% of you do want a Days Gone sequel. That seems to align with what I continue to see from the community. I know Days Gone didn't exactly blow the world away in terms of reviews, though a large part of that was because it had technical issues at launch, but it did get a lot better after released. It was also very successful, selling millions and millions of copies. It really does seem like there is a divide with fans and critics for this game, and there's even a petition to get a sequel that has gained a lot of traction. Sony Ben, though, is working on a new IP, however, and truthfully, I believe in him. I know it's disappointing for those wanting a Days Gone sequel, and I do feel for you all. That game had a lot of potential, and it really showed as they patched up its launch problems, but at the same time, Sony Ben has proven to do great work on several franchises. Uncharted Golden Abyss was amazing on the Vita. I really think that's a vastly underrated game, and they did great work on the Siphon Filter franchise. So I'll be interested to see what their next project is, even though it wasn't their first choice. I do agree with you all, though. I do think that Sony should have given them another chance to work on this franchise. I don't think that Metacritic should be the sole decision on if a game gets a sequel or not. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.